Welcome to another awesome edition of Comet Algebra. This video is for Algebra 1, Chapter 7. It's the second notes for Section 4, and these notes are for working at the word problems. All right, these notes start with a list of bullet points, and I really do want you to follow these steps. First thing, when you read a word problem, identify important information in it that are going to help us write the two equations. You can do that by, if it's a worksheet, underline or highlight the important info. And one thing that's nice about solving these word problems that we know we're going to end up with a system of equations, you're always thinking of it in terms of, x plus something being equal to a certain number, or perhaps it's x minus something being equal to a number. You already have this, I'll call it a framework going into it. We already know that we have two variables and we're going to have to write two equations. It is important to define your variables. Say what the x is. If x is the number of children going to the theater, if x is the cost of the taco, whatever it is, if you say it and you write it down, that's going to help you when you actually find the x to answer the question, what did I just find? Then this step, write your two equations. Write them out, and then you are free to choose substitution or elimination. And then please do check your answers by plugging them into your original equation. And of course, put units on your answers. If the answer is 3, you got to say 3 what? $3, 3 puppies. Put units on your answers. All right, let's go through these steps together in working through the examples in these notes. In example 1, I have done some of the steps for you, but let's just read through it and do step 1. The Christian school concession stand is selling hot dogs for $1.50. Obviously, important piece of info that is the cost of the hot dogs and the soft drinks, 50 cents. At the end of this night, a total of $78.50 was made, and we sold a total of 18 items. Can you find out how many hot dogs were sold and also how many soft drinks? So some things are going through my mind. When I think about the two equations, one of them is going to have to be a money equation where we're dealing with the cost of each item and the total cost. And the other equation has to do with this 87. It is a total number of items equation. So this is kind of our thought process. We're going to have money in one equation and total items in another. So now define your variables. Obviously, I've done that for you. I chose x to be hot dogs, y to be the drinks. Then we make our equations. Like I said, we have a total items. Well, if there was x hot dogs sold and y soft drinks, the total items is 87, so we added. Each hot dog cost $1.50. So the money made from the hot dogs, if there was x of them sold, is $1.50 times that x, plus the amount of money made on the drinks. They were 50 cents a piece for y number of drinks, so 0.50 times y is how much money was made for the drinks, equals the total amount of money that we made for the evening. So take a minute and read through this and see if these two steps make sense to you, and then pause the video and go ahead and solve for x and y. Using whichever method you prefer, substitution or elimination. I chose elimination, and to do this, I multiplied the first equation by 0.5. And then I wrote it below here. And then when I added straight down, I got x equals 35, so I can answer one of the questions already. We sold 35 hot dogs. And now plug it into one of the other, I guess I like this. This equation looks a little easier to me. So 35 plus y equals 87. Subtract that, and we sold 52 sodas. So I hope that's what you also came up with. Let's look at example 2. And as you read it, you see that this problem is a little different than 1 because you're talking about yourself and your friend. We have information about what you bought, 3 soft tacos, 3 burritos, and then your bill. And then we have more information on what your friend's bill was. So as you're reading this, you're kind of thinking of the framework. You're going to get an equation that's just for you and your bill, and then you're going to get an equation that's for the food and the bill that your friend came up with. So again, the question can help us assign the variables. The question says, how much do tacos cost and how much do burritos cost? So that's what I picked our x and y to be. Then we have an equation for you. You bought 3 of each, so the cost of 1 taco is x, and you bought 3 of them, so you're paying 3x for your tacos. You bought 3 burritos, and the cost of the burrito is y, so you paid 3y for your burrito, and your total bill was $11.25. And the same for your friend who bought 4 tacos and 2 burritos. So now put pause in the video and solve these equations using substitution or elimination. I chose elimination, and I chose to go after the x's. So I multiplied the first equation by 4 and the second equation by -3. And again, it doesn't matter what method you use, but hopefully we do get to the same answer. I got that y is $2.50, so we can answer that question, that the burritos cost $2.50, and then if you plug it back in to either equation, you would get that the soft tacos cost $1.25. All right, example 3 is a bit shorter. The sum of 2 numbers is -32, so hopefully you realize that the word sum is talking about adding. And then you read that the difference of these 2 numbers, the word difference is the answer to a subtract problem, and they want us to find the 2 numbers. So assigning the variables, I guess x is one number, if I can use the number symbol here, and y is the other number. Not too tough to assign the variables here. Then we need to write the 2 equations. Well, like we said, the word sum means add. So go ahead and add x and y and write your equation if the sum is -32. And then their difference is 20, so go ahead and write your equation with a subtract sign. Now hit pause on the video and solve these equations. So I hope you had come up with x plus y equals -32, and the other equation is x minus y equals 20. This is set up perfectly for elimination, so that's what I chose. Adding straight down, the biggest mistake I've seen students make is that they forget that x plus x is 2x. So this one is very quick and easy to solve for. We get x is -6, and then if you plug that into one of the originals, you would get that y is equal to -26. So our 2 numbers, we don't really have units here. The 2 numbers are -6 and -26. And you do have to solve this problem with algebra. You can't just sort of figure it out by guessing and checking to get these 2 numbers. All right, let's move on to example 4. Okay, please hit pause on the video and read this and give it a try, and then resume the video and we'll see how you did. All right, hopefully you realize that these questions are helping you assign the variables. The question says how many 2-point questions are on the test. Therefore, I chose that to be x. How many 5-point questions are on the test? I chose that to be y. And since we're given some information here in the first sentence that there's 145 points on the test, and we're also told that the test contains 20 questions, we're starting to frame the 2 different equations in our mind. We know that we're going to have one equation that is dealing with total points. And we know we're going to have one equation that's dealing with the total number of questions on the test. So now, if you haven't already, take a minute and try to write an equation about the points and an equation about how many total questions there are on the test. All right, hopefully you realized that for the points equation, since there's for the total points, there's 145 points, and there's x 2-point questions, so we took the 2x. There's y number of 5-point questions, so we have 5y, and that's going to give us our 145 points. Then for the questions, that's kind of easy. There's 50 questions on the test, so you just add the x and the y, and that'll give you your 50. So now push pause and go ahead and solve these. When you solve, you should come up with the fact that there is 15 of the 2-point questions and 35 of the 5-point questions. And if you had trouble with that, please see me in class. All right, now you have the knowledge you need to do the word problems with systems of equations. So have fun with math.